Hey guys, this is Chris with Half Chrome. Today we're going to talk about how you can extend the field of view on the DJI Osmo Mobile. We've been using this gimbal for a few weeks now and we're loving it, but sometimes you just want a wider field of view. We're going to talk about why you might want that and how you can get that done. Just to get a quick taste of what that feels like, this is a wider field of view. So this is what the view looks like from a GoPro Hero 5. As you can see, you can get much closer to your subject and still see the whole thing, and you can see much more of the background. Now in this video we're going to go over how you can use the GoPro as well as other methods of getting a wider field of view on the DJI Osmo Mobile. Welcome back. Before we talk about how to extend the field of view of the Osmo Mobile, we want to talk about some of the ways it's really been helping us in capturing the videos that we want. Now there's just no doubt that there's nothing better than a handheld gimbal for capturing some of the shots that you're going to want. A tripod can be very static feeling, and when you want to hold a camera just with your hands, it can be very, very shaky. Now stabilization, like you get in some of the new iPhones or in the new GoPro or some cameras, improves the situation, but it's just nowhere near what you can do in terms of stabilizing the entire camera like you can do with a handheld gimbal. Now, of course, one of the best ways to use a handheld gimbal is to chase the kids around. Much of the stock footage you see of handheld gimbals is doing just that. People just love kids. We also use the Osmo Mobile to get some really cool B-roll. One example is the motion time-lapse like you're seeing here. Now, you can do horizontal panning with other devices, but you really need a fancy gimbal like this to be able to do more dynamic motions that move upwards in addition to across the field of view. One more reason you might want a wider field of view on your camera is for selfies. Now selfies aren't really my thing, but if you've ever tried to take one with a group of people, you may notice that the field of view is just a little too narrow to squeeze everybody in. So we turn this around, take a look at what you're getting here. You can just see me, but you don't see very much of the surroundings at all. You're naturally going to be close to your subject, which is you in a selfie, so having a wider field of view could be a good thing. So here at Half Chrome we like to talk about the horizontal field of view. That's how panoramic the image feels. Now a mobile phone like this will typically have a field of view of about 60 degrees, which is somewhere between 30 and 35 millimeter equivalent focal length. Now one of the best ways to extend that is a clip-on lens adapter. Now these can extend the field of view by about 50% to somewhere around 90 degrees. You do want to be careful about which one you pick up. We'll talk more about that. Then there's the GoPro. This is probably the world's most popular wide field of view camera. It has a field of view of a whopping 120 degrees. So you're capturing 1/3 of the horizon when you use a GoPro in wide mode. The linear mode on this, which might be interesting to a lot of people because you don't get that distorted horizon or distortion in buildings or other straight lines, it has a field of view of about 90 degrees, just like these guys. If you want a wider field of view than a GoPro, you're probably looking at picking up a monster lens like this for something like an SLR camera or a 360 camera. These are becoming more popular. We're having a lot of fun with this one, the LG 360 cam. But for normal recording, high quality video, GoPro is one of the most common and compact ways of capturing wide field of view video. The question is, do these work on the Osmo Mobile? Okay, let's talk a little bit more about the GoPro. Now this is going to be the widest field of view you can easily incorporate on a handheld gimbal. And let's look at how we could get it on the Osmo Mobile. So as you can see, it's much smaller than a cell phone. And if we try to clamp the cell phone clamp on here, it just won't fit. Let's try putting it in the frame. So as you can see, when the GoPro is mounted in its frame, it will just barely fit in the Osmo Mobile. Now there are some serious issues with this approach. First of all, it is impossible to balance this like this. Second of all, I can't access my touch screen. That's a bit of an issue. Third of all, I can't see the screen very well at all, so I don't really know what I'm recording. And finally, there's another big problem. The camera is facing the wrong direction. So maybe great for selfies, but it's got some issues. Now you can use this like this. Let's go ahead and turn it on. So the Osmo Mobile is working really hard right now because it's not so balanced. And that's going to affect image quality, but it will stabilize, as you can see here. Now your range of motion is very restricted, unfortunately. There, right there, at about 20 or 30 degrees, it will no longer stabilize and it'll just make the camera go lower. Also, I have this reverse grip, so not the most ergonomic thing to have to press your trigger there, use your joystick and other buttons all backwards. So this really isn't the most ideal solution at all. I really don't like it because of the balance issue. You're working your motors hard, you're working your battery hard, they're getting hot. This is really not the way to go. Let's look at another way to mount the GoPro. So if you're dead set on using a GoPro in your Osmo Mobile, we recommend you pick up one of these adapters. Now they do a much better job of keeping the gimbal balanced. It's not perfect, but it is much better. There is one major downside that I don't see anybody else really talking about much. Most people just skim over this issue, and it's a huge issue, which is the field of view is completely cut off by this motor here. So if you're in wide, if you're in linear, even if you're in medium, you're going to be seeing this, which is just terrible. I could put the GoPro in narrow, but really what's the point of that if our goal is to extend the field of view? Just to use a GoPro, it's not that great of a use case. So what do we have to do? We got to turn the camera around again. So let's do that. Okay, so now I've turned the adapter with the GoPro in it around. You can see the GoPro is upside down, but the GoPro has no issue dealing with that. You will notice I have full access to the touchscreen and the ability to view what I'm recording. And the gimbal is in balance. The motors aren't working as hard, and I'm going to be able to get much more stable footage than with the other strategies of mounting the GoPro. I still do have the reverse grip problem, so I'm going to be using this rather awkwardly, and the range of motion problem. When I'm recording this way, again, I tilt forward, I lose stability. I got plenty of range backwards, that's great, but that's not really how I'm ever going to be holding it. So what you'll see in some of these videos is I'm running around like this to make sure I don't run out of range, and occasionally you see my fingers or the grip itself here appear in the field of view when you're recording in wide. So this does work, you just have to be careful how you hold it, and you have to be willing to accept the backwards grip. Alright, now let's talk about my preferred method of how to get a wider field of view on the Osmo Mobile, which is to put a lens adapter on it. I've seen lots of people doing this, but you have to be careful which one you pick. This guy here, $10 on Amazon, I couldn't believe it, I had to try it, and well, you kind of get what you pay for. This doesn't have the best image quality, and despite its gargantuan size, you get a little bit of vignetting almost unless you have this thing positioned just perfectly over the camera. So for $30 we got this one here. We'll put the link in our video. The image quality is better, it's not so sensitive to how it's positioned, and it's much lighter, allowing us to almost balance the gimbal, at least if you're using an iPhone 6. On larger, like a 6 Plus, 7 Plus, larger phones out there, you may have a hard time balancing this. So you really want to get the lightest adapter, wide angle adapter that you can find. Now, as we mentioned before, this is a 90 degrees horizontal field of view. That's a 50% increase from your mobile phone stock. But there is some risk that you see this. Now, we're not having an issue on the iPhone, but if your camera were located a little bit more near the middle of the phone, you might have a problem with that. On the iPhone, there is an issue though. There happens to be a microphone right next to the camera that this covers up. We made the mistake of putting this on there and not having another microphone. We lost all the audio from a photo shoot. It was super muffled. Even though there's multiple microphones on your iPhone, covering up this one totally muffles the sound and makes it worthless. So you need to be aware of that. You can squeeze an external mic in here, but depending on what phone you have, that may be more challenging. You might have to get some kind of wireless mic, or just record your audio separately like I'm doing right now and merge that in post-production, which isn't nearly as convenient. So there's things to watch out for when using this guy. Just be aware of it. So just to wrap up, there are a ton of use cases for the Osmo Mobile. It's a wonderful device as is, but you can definitely extend what you could do with it with a wide-angle field of view camera. So the big question is, which is our preferred method? Do we want to use the 90-degree horizontal field of view lens adapter or the 120-degree field of view GoPro? Now there is no easy answer. This is the easiest to implement, but you got to make sure you get a small, high quality lens and you're not covering up your microphone, or you have an external microphone that you're using. This guy here, it's not perfect. You got to hold the grip backwards, but if you want to quickly convert to get a really wide field of view, this is the way to go. You got to get the $20 adapter. It really helps. It's going to get better video. It's going to let you see your screen. It's going to let you use the touch screen, and it's going to keep the gimbal balanced so the motors aren't getting smoking hot and you aren't burning through your batteries. I hope this video was helpful. Please subscribe. Check out our website where we got even more details on handheld gimbals. That's halfchrome.com. We'll see you next time.